Hello students. Now today is my third video, my third lesson. So in my previous two videos we talked about education in the world and more precisely education in the UK, and we have discussed some facts about education in the United Kingdom. So university in the UK, a fact file. So we talked about some information about the number of students that has increased between the 1980s to these days. So we talked about some vocabulary. We learned some new vocabulary like education, university, tuition, expenses, colleges, etc. All these vocabulary are related to education. So we are going to read again to review our text. So we said, in the UK, approximately 40% of school leavers, and by school leavers we mean high school students, completing their high school and studying or starting their degrees or their courses at the university, go on. So you remember we talked about some missing words. So here, go on. So go on. So we said go on is a phrasal verb, if you remember, which is composed of a verb and a preposition. So the meaning of go on is to continue. Go on to study at university compared with 8% in the early 1980s. 15% of all university students are from outside the UK. So this percentage of students in the UK universities is also called international students. So the most popular subjects, the most popular majors, the most popular courses that these students study in the UK are business studies, economics, and engineering. Engineering that we later called vocational courses. So most undergraduate courses take 3 years. So undergraduate courses are the courses that are related to your first 3 years at the university of full-time study to complete. Now, university education is subsidized. So to subsidize means to fund, to give money. Subsidized. So university education is funded by the UK government or the English government. So British and European Union students pay towards their tuition fees. And tuition fees is the money that students have to pay to university. So, and have to pay their own living expenses. They can usually take out a government loan. So many, either British or international students, they ask for a loan from the government to pay this tuition plus their living expenses. Living expenses for the students are mainly housing and food. So which is a relative pronoun. It is related to the loan which they pay back when they reach a certain level of income. Vocational courses, just like engineering, are becoming more popular. 90% of people who, another relative pronoun replacing people or referring to people, take degrees in the UK, go on to get a job or do further study. So people with degrees are likely to earn on average £100,000. So we said on average, it means it can be more than 100,000 and it can be less than 100,000 more during their working lives than non-graduates. Graduates and non-graduates. So we said graduates are students who completed their degrees, completed their studies and got a degree upon the courses, upon their studies at the university. Okay, so we talked, after we discussed this text, we talked about some expressions or some phrases we use to give our opinion or to disagree or to agree. So expressing an opinion. Expressing an opinion. So, you can either agree or you can not agree. That's I don't agree that. Or you can say I think that. Or the negative form, I don't think that. Or you can start your opinion by saying, to my mind, comma, or in my view, or in my point of view, or in my opinion. So, as for agreeing and disagreeing, you can say, yes, I agree, that's right, I think so too, when you agree, or simply you can disagree by saying, I don't agree, or when you half agree, or you raise an objection, you can say, on the other hand, all that may be true, but. Now, here are two examples on how to give our opinion. Now, to my mind, university teaches you a lot about life, and that's right. I totally agree with this opinion. University teaches you a lot about life as well as about your subject. So, it's important to go to university. Yes, but on the other hand, university costs a lot of money. Yes, but on the other hand, university costs a lot of money. So you can take notes and write these phrases so you can use them to express your opinions, or you can agree and disagree. Okay, so we also talked about phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. So, in my previous video, we talked about phrasal verbs. So what are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are a combination of verbs and prepositions, of verbs and adverbs. So, but these phrasal verbs can be separable. It means we can separate them. So, some transitive phrasal verbs are separable. We can separate them. How are we going to separate them? Which means there are two possible positions for the object. Now, here's our phrasal verb, to take off. To take off. He took off his jacket. So, here's our verb. The infinitive is to take. It's in the past simple. Plus the preposition of. He took off his jacket. So, where's our object? Jacket. So, he took off his jacket. So, why separable? Because the object, we can move it and put it between the verb and the preposition. He took his jacket off. This is when the object is a noun. But when the object is a pronoun, an object pronoun, we cannot do that. We can only put it in between. Now, however, when the object is a pronoun, it always goes between the two parts of separable phrasal verb. He took it off. We do not say he took off it. This is wrong. Why? Because it is a pronoun and it refers to jacket. It is an object pronoun. So, your dictionary will tell you if a phrasal verb is separable or not. So, here we're talking only about separable phrasal verbs. Okay. Now, if you are interested in studying abroad or applying to an international program that deals with education and continue your studies in another country, you can try the Erasmus program, which is a program that was started by the European Union. So, we said the Erasmus program is an exchange program which gives students the chance to work or study in a different country while they are still at university. It was started. Now here's another phrasal verb, set up. By the European Union, you can stay for anything between 3 months and an academic year, a whole academic year. So the scheme or the program takes its name from the Dutch philosopher Erasmus, whose full name was Desiderius Erasmus of Rotterdam. Erasmus was very open-minded. So here is another point for getting an education. So when you study at university, you become more open-minded. So why Erasmus was open-minded? Because he lived, worked in many countries around the world in order to learn more about different cultures. So, since it started in 1987, Erasmus has grown dramatically. The first year, 3,244 students took part. Nowadays, around 200,000 students from 31 different countries participate each year. So, are you studying for a diploma or a degree at a recognized university? Have you already completed the first year of your course? Then you are eligible for a place on Erasmus. Eligible. You can apply to this program. Excellent. Now, Erasmus, this exchange program is a time for learning. So it's mostly about education. You will gain an understanding of your host country, the country that receives you, the university that receives you, and be part of an international community of students. Having Erasmus on your CV can offer you many opportunities as employers see it as a positive educational experience. And yes, it is a positive educational experience. Erasmus is no more expensive than studying in your own country because you do not have to pay extra tuition fees to the university that you visit. For the additional expense of living abroad, you can apply for an Erasmus grant. That's a scholarship grant, funding. Now, this program, the persons in charge of this program, after they study your application, they can grant you some money. They can help you with some money or scholarship. Excellent. So, about the opinions, about this Erasmus program, now we are going to listen to an interview with a student from England who has taken part in the Erasmus program. So his name is Benjamin and he's English and he has taken part in the Erasmus program. So we are going to check these sentences, these ideas, whether they are true or false. So number one, Benjamin studies two main subjects on his course. 2, Benjamin spent the whole of his second year in Amsterdam. Dutch students talk less in seminars than British students do. 4, in Manchester, which is the hometown of Benjamin. Benjamin goes to a lot of conferences. 5, Benjamin did some voluntary work while he was away. So 6, Benjamin did some paid work while he was staying in Amsterdam. So you know the difference between a paid work and a voluntary work. So a paid work is the work we do to get paid, and the voluntary work is the work that we do without expecting any money. It's only voluntary work. Excellent. So now we are going to listen to the interview and try to find out if these sentences are true or false.
Listening 9. And now we're going to talk to Benjamin Davies about his experience of the Erasmus program. Benjamin, what are you studying?
I'm studying politics and modern history at Manchester University.
Okay, and where did Erasmus take you?
I went to the Netherlands to study at the University of Amsterdam. I was there for 6 months during the second year of my degree.
Right, I see. How was studying in the Netherlands different from studying in the UK?
Well, most of my classmates were either Dutch or American, And those nationalities tend to be much more vocal than we Brits.
Much more vocal.
They aren't afraid to speak up in class and say what they think. I participated a lot more in my seminars in Amsterdam than I do here in Manchester.
Did you notice any other differences?
Yes. In Amsterdam, students are sent a weekly email telling them about all the conferences that are available, and most of them are free. I attended a lot of these conferences, something I don't do in Manchester because I don't know anything about them.
Right. So what else did you do outside university?
I volunteered with BLIN. It's a Dutch non-government organisation which tries to help the victims of human trafficking. BLIN offers legal and financial help to people mainly from Africa and Eastern Europe. I worked in the office a bit.
How interesting. What about your social life? Was it easy to make friends?
Yes, I met lots of really nice people. I made friends at university and also at work. I got a job in a call centre to help pay my living expenses.
Well, thank you for talking to us, Benjamin. And now we're going to talk to Sue, who's been to Germany.
Excellent, excellent. So, Benjamin studies two main subjects on his course in Manchester. This is true. This is what he said. He said, I am studying two subjects in my university. Two, Benjamin spent the whole of his second year in Amsterdam. This is false. This is false. Now, three, Dutch students talk less in seminars than British students do. Well, this is not what Benjamin said. He said, Dutch students talk more in lessons, in seminars, in conferences than British students do. So this one is false. 4. In Manchester, Benjamin goes to a lot of conferences. That's not what he said. He said in Amsterdam, we receive a lot of emails telling us about the different scientific events and conferences so we can take part in. But in Manchester, no. He said, at my university, we don't participate or take part in any conferences. 5. Benjamin did some voluntary work while he was away. And that's right. In Amsterdam, he had time to do voluntary work, so this one is true. 6. Benjamin did some paid work while he was staying in Amsterdam. This one is also true because he had to work to help himself with the money he needed for his food and his housing. So this one is true. Excellent. So now, you can pause this video and think about this challenge. So I'm going to ask you, would you like to take part in the scheme, in a program, in an education program like the Erasmus? Why? Why not? Why? So you can write your thoughts. Why not? You can also write your notes. What advantages that you can gain from participating, and what are the reasons? If you don't want to, what are your reasons? Excellent. Now, about the subject. About the subject. About the subject, you are either studying in your high school or you are going to study at the university. Now, this is a word search. This is a word search. So you can pause this video and think about how many subjects you can find. And there's a total of 12 subjects. I'm going to show you some example and I will let you find the other subjects. So here, if you can see, we've got like biology. So biology. So biology is a subject, biology. Or what we are doing here, we've got English, E English, or maths, maths, or history. This is history. Art, art, art. So you see, these are different subjects. And I'm going to let you find what is left. And remember, you can pause this video and find out the other 12. Excellent. Now, about these subjects. When we talk about subjects at the university or at school, we often describe them by using some adjectives. So look at the following adjectives: challenging, confusing, creative, easy, fun, interesting, pointless, tedious, useful. So you can think of the subjects you are studying at school and use these adjectives to describe them. But first, our question is here: are these adjectives in their meaning negative or positive? Let's decide if each one of these adjectives has a positive or a negative meaning. Challenging, does it have a positive or a negative meaning? Confusing, positive meaning or negative meaning? Creative, easy, fun, interesting, pointless, tedious, useful. So let's start with challenging. Challenging can be both, can be positive and negative. Confusing, some subjects are confusing. Well, I know that English is not confusing. I think that English is fun. Confusing has a negative meaning. How about creative? Creative has a positive meaning. Easy, positive. Fun, positive. Interesting, positive. Pointless, not important, pointless. So pointless has a negative meaning. Tedious. Tedious is an adjective that means dull. D-U-L-L. Dull. Tedious. So tedious has a negative meaning. Useful, positive meaning. Useful. Interesting, important. So it has a positive meaning. Excellent. So take the time to think about the subjects you are studying or the courses you are planning to take at the university, and try to write sentences using these adjectives. Which school subject do you associate with each word? You can discuss your views with your partner, or you can think about it, since it is this lesson is only a video. So, and then you can agree or disagree with each other when you have time to talk about it with your friends. Okay, now C. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs below. We've got some verbs. The verb to apply, to do, to find, to set up, to study, to take, to think, and to work. So, in English language, we've got what we call, in English grammar, we've got what we call verb patterns. So, when verbs in English are followed by verbs, so the following verbs, the verbs that follow, have a certain patterns. So, some of them stay in the form of the infinitive, and others take the ing form. So, for example, after leaving school, I want a year out to travel around the world. After leaving school, I want a year out to travel around the world. Now think about the verbs. 2, I'm considering English at university. I hope a full-time job as soon as I finish school. 4, I intend or study in an English-speaking country at some point in the future. 5, I'd like my own business in the future. 6, I'm thinking of to the University of Oxford. And then 7, I'm interested in some voluntary work either in this country or abroad. 8, I spend a lot of time about my future. So, but you have to be careful about the pattern. So, I said some verbs must be in the infinitive and some verbs must take the ing form. So, after leaving school, I want to take a year out to travel around the world. I want to take a year out. So what do we mean by year out? We also call it a gap year, because many British students, they decide not to join the university, not to enroll at the university immediately after high school, so they postpone the university and take a gap year so they can travel around the world. So, I want to take. So what's the pattern that the verb has to take when it comes after the verb to want? That's the infinitive. I want to take. Now 2, I'm considering English at university. I'm considering studying. So I'm considering studying, ing plus ing form, studying. I'm considering studying English at university. 3, I hope, just like I want. I hope plus the infinitive. I hope to find a full-time job as soon as I finish school. 4, I intend, we've got or study in an English-speaking country. I intend to work, infinitive. I intend to work or study in an English-speaking country at some point in the future. 5, I'd like my own business in the future. I'd like my own business in the future. I'd like, just like I hope or I want. I'd like plus the infinitive. I'd like to set up, to start, to begin my own business in the future. 6, I'm thinking of, just like considering, ing. I'm thinking of to the University of Oxford. I'm thinking of applying. I'm thinking of applying to the University of Oxford. And by the way, Oxford University is the oldest university in England. It was founded in the 11th century. So 7, I'm interested in doing. I'm interested in doing some voluntary work either in this country or 8, I spend a lot of time. So what pattern should the verb that comes after I spend a lot of time has to take? I spend a lot of time thinking, ing. I spend a lot of time thinking about my future. So what I want you to do, I want you to remember the patterns of the verbs that follow these kinds of verbs. So what have we said? We said I want plus the infinitive. I'm considering plus ing form. I hope infinitive. I intend infinitive. I'd like infinitive. I'm thinking of ing form. I'm interested in ing form. I spend a lot of time ing form. Excellent. Now, we're going to talk about one of the most prestigious schools in England. Okay, schools in England. So first, we're going to talk about this picture. We're going to talk about this picture. So what can we see? So we see students behind their desks, and we see students wearing the same kind of clothes. And these same kinds of clothes are what we call uniform. So you see, some English schools, the students, they have to wear uniforms. They have to wear uniforms. So we also see a teacher standing in front of the students. One more important thing. All the students are boys. All the students are boys. It means there are no girls. So what kind of school is this school? It's a boys' school. So the students are all wearing uniforms. So I want you to remember these vocabulary, these words. So we've got classroom, we've got desk, exercise book, lesson, student, teacher, textbook, and uniform. Now, we're going to talk about one of the most prestigious schools of prestige in England. So, this school is Eton College. Eton College. So, Eton College. Now, Eton College. Now, look at the school building. Look at the school. It's very old. It's very old. So, this school is very old. Very, very old. Now, let's talk about Eton. Eton College is a very famous private school near London. It is over 570 years old. So you see how old is this school? 570 years old. There are about 1,300 students in the school, and they all live in the school during the term. They all live in the school. This means this kind of school is a boarding school. A boarding school. A boarding school is the school that has dormitories, that has dorms where students sleep, and has also canteens where students eat. There aren't any girls in the school, only boys. So what kind of school is Eton College? It's only boys. It's for boys. So they take a special entrance exam. So British students, when they want to enroll at this school, they have to take an entrance exam. And they start at Eton when they are 13 years old. when they are 13 years old. So this type of school is middle school and high school at the same time. So the British or the Americans, they often call these kinds of school as junior high school. Junior high school. So it's middle school and high school at the same time. So, and remember, this school is private school. Okay. Eton is a private school and it is very expensive. Very expensive. So not any British families or British students can go to this school. So what we said earlier, we said they can ask the government for a loan. So many British families, they borrow from banks, they take loans. Okay, so it costs about £30,000 a year to study there. Most Eton students come from very rich families, people with money. For example, Prince William and Prince Harry studied at Eton. Prince William and Prince Harry. So who are Prince William and Prince Harry? They are the grandsons of Queen Elizabeth II. Excellent. Now, there are about 100 classrooms in the school. Lots of science labs, ICT rooms, and ICT stands for Information and Communication Technology, ICT. And music rooms, a concert hall, 2 theaters, a gym, 2 swimming pools, 20 tennis courts, an athletics track, and a golf course. So you see how important are sports in these kinds of schools. So they've got a gym, 2 swimming pools, 20 tennis courts, 20 tennis fields, an athletics track, and a golf course. The college has got 160 teachers. That's 1 teacher for 8 students. 1 teacher for 8 students. That is why this type of school, this kind of school is so expensive. Okay, sport is very important at Eton College. Students can do over 40 different sports, including rugby, and rugby is a sport which is very, very popular. Rugby and cricket, very, very popular in England. Cricket, rowing, the water sport, rowing, water sport, fencing, combat sport, fencing, and water polo. All the students do sport every day. So you see, students at Eton, they do sport every day. Many of the sport teachers are professional sports people. So, sports teachers are athletes and are professional sports people. Now, most students stay at the school until they are 18 years old. So we said they start when they are 13 and they stay at school at Eton until they are 18 years old. After that, now look at this percentage. 99% of them go to university. Many students from Eton get important jobs. Famous students like Prince Harry and Prince William from Eton include 19 British prime ministers. So you see how Eton College is so prestigious. So Eton College produced 19 British prime ministers. Excellent. So what are we going to do? We've got A, B, C, D, and E. I've got some headings here. Number 1, sport at Eton. Number 2, general information about the school. 3, how much it costs to study at Eton. What students do when they leave Eton. The buildings and facilities. So this is easy. So what are we going to do? We're going to match each idea with its corresponding paragraph. For example, sport at Eton. That's easy. Sport at Eton. So which paragraph talks about sport? D. Sport is very important at Eton College. Students can do more than 40 different sports, including rugby, cricket, rowing, fencing, and water polo. All the students do sport every day. Many of the sport teachers are professional sports people. So the idea refers to this paragraph. Next. General information about the school. So, general information about anything, not just this school, but about anything, usually goes in the first paragraph, just like the introduction. So, this idea is related to this paragraph. General information about the school. General information. It's a famous private school, and it's 570 years old. There are 1,300 or 1,300 students. All of them live in the school during the term, and there aren't any girls. So it's only a boys' school. Next. How much it costs to study at Eton? How much? So we said Eton is very, very, very expensive. And only rich families can or are able to take their children to apply to Eton College. So £30,000 a year to study. Then what students do when they leave Eton? What students do when they complete their studies at Eton? E. Paragraph E. Most students stay at the school until they are 18 years old. So what do they do? 99% of them go to university. 99% of them go to university. Many students from Eton get very important jobs. Famous students from Eton include 19 British prime ministers. 19 prime ministers. Excellent. So, the buildings and facilities. The buildings and facilities of Eton College. There are about 100 classrooms in the school, lots of science labs, science laboratories, ICT rooms, and music rooms, a concert hall, 2 theaters, a gym, 2 swimming pools, 20 tennis courts, and athletics tracks, and a golf course. The college has got 160 teachers. That's 1 teacher for 8. So this paragraph deals with facilities and buildings. So let's stop here, and I'll be right back. Thank you so much.